Good morning, everybody. John Chester, operations with Southwest Team 2 on the south zone of the Calf Creek or Calf Canyon and Hermit Peak fire. So today we'll just go ahead and get started with a general operational overview of the incident. Back over here in Branch 11 along the eastern side of the fire, Division Alpha Bravo, continuing with that good strong repair work, repairing the dozer lines, mending fences, pulling stuff back over the hand lines where that's appropriate, where it won't jeopardize the integrity of the control lines. Working our way down towards the south, we got a group down here in the Mineral Hill area. They're getting started with that work down in there, the same kind of repair work with Division Alpha Bravo proper. Those folks are also ready to engage in IA for any new starts that might occur essentially on the eastern half of the fire and up in our identified responsibility area for IA. Coming around into Division Charlie Delta Echo in Branch 15, the lower and upper Colonias area, those folks have backhauled most of the excess equipment and the trash that was in there. They are again getting started in that repair work. They've got a couple chippers over there, and so they're starting to chip that excess slash to disperse that. And one of the things we do that for is we don't want to create fuel loadings for down the road type incidents. So if there's a fire here at a later time, we've moved a lot of vegetation from the fire's edge across our containment line to make that easier for holding. And so one of the things we do is we go back in there and we try to chip as much of that material as we can to reduce that fuel loading for future events. So that's what they're engaged in down here, coming around the southwestern corner, coming up into the Skyline Trail. And as we progress to the north, Elk Mountain, and to Division Foxtrot, where we've currently started that firing operation that we've been discussing for a handful of days now, dating back to last Thursday, Friday. So again, that firing operation is it's very well thought out and paced. We're taking our time to get it to where we want, and so those folks are working very diligently out there with each other and then the aviation assets that we have on the incident. Moving along down into the 63 corridor there, going up into Cowles and Geronimo, those folks are still down there doing the prep work around the structures. We've got water handling equipment in place, so folded tanks, pumpkins, and it's kind of really like a portable swimming pool type of thing, if you will. So those tanks hold anywhere from like 1,000 gallons to 3,000 gallons, and they get those set up, they fill them up with water, and then we can run pumps and hoses out of them to support those control features that we have established either by roads, dozer lines, or hand lines. So coming up into the Iron Gate, those folks are continuing to test the hose lines that are in there, those hand lines, continuing to prep and just make sure that we've got everything where we want it in the event that the fire comes to that area. This 250 on the map here, where you can see that, it probably can't zoom in that close, but here where my finger is coming across the fire's edge from our control feature. And there they've got that plumbed with hose. They're getting that set up, and that's basically just to prevent any fire that comes out of here from squirting around and coming up that Rio Valdez Canyon or creek. Coming on up into Beatty Spike, those folks are continuing with the structure protection plans. They've got those pretty much dialed in for that little cabin area up in there, and then moving up along our hand line to the divide up there with the branch or the zone break with the north zone. So that's kind of the general operation. The firing operation is going to continue today, kind of progressing down along this dozer line here. Don't have too much farther to go, and we're going to get it to like a vegetation change type into some aspens, and that's really our target for the next coming days with the change in weather, is just to get it into there and see how that responds, and gives us some time, an additional time to monitor and see how things are going and what the plan moving forward will be from there. So got a real good strategy, and they're implementing those tactics to accomplish that goal. So some questions that have come in over the past few days in time, I'm just going to take a little bit to address. And so one of the things that a question that was asked was, how does the aviation or the helicopters and air tankers and other miscellaneous aviation support contribute to our firing operation? So I'm just going to kind of start at the top. What you might see out there is we have an air attack platform, which is a fixed wing airplane or a fixed wing. It kind of circles high above, and they're essentially an on-site aircraft controller. And so they monitor and they direct that traffic that comes in and out of the TFR, so the temporary flight restriction that we have in place over the fire that just keeps the other aircraft out, or is supposed to do that anyways. So they set up high over the top of the incident. They watch it. They are able to monitor the fire behavior or the fire movement from a higher location. And then as they stagger things, they bring in, so they'll bring in the fixed wing, they'll bring in the scoopers, the air tankers, and then the helicopter operations. And so each one of those different groups have a different job and how they come in and what they're going to be doing. And so today, as an example, there was some discussion around bringing some fixed wing retardant in, and we'll see if that was ordered up. I'm not sure at the moment, but the intent of that fixed wing retardant was to come in and to reinforce or bolster the dozer line that goes down. It was to go to the lee side or the non-fire side of that and put retardant in so that will, if there was to be any adverse winds or conditions that would push the fire or the smoke column over that control line, they would be able to hold that a little easier, and it would reduce the potential for spotting over that control line. So they're talking about doing that. We also have a what we call a mobile retardant base or plant set up, and what that is it's kind of the same kind of retardant, but the helicopters go down and they dip out of that, and then they can apply it in the same kind of manner that an air tanker would. And so they're looking at putting some retardant along those control lines just to kind of bolster that up. Now the other piece of this equation is we sometimes use the what we call the unmanned Romeo or UAS, essentially drones, and we will send them out over the area, and they have a device that allows them to do ignitions in the interior area where we can't get people to, and so that those operations will help us just gather that depth off the fire line. It helps us back that fire down the hill at a more slowed, controlled pace, so without having to put people in a compromised position. And then for a very large area, we have the same kind of device that is hooked up inside of a helicopter, and there's a person that operates that. And so the helicopter will go out there and they will turn circles, and they will put those what we call plastic sphere dispenser, PSD, and they will drop those little balls, and they will go down and they'll find receptive fuel beds, and then they will ignite and help us with the controlled burning or application of fire across a larger landscape area where we can't physically get people to be able to walk in a timely fashion, or maybe an area where we can't get people into. So those are kind of the applications that we use the aircraft for. It doesn't just have to be retardant with the helicopters either. They can support us by using bucket work, so get helicopters up. The Type 1s are the large helicopters. And basically what they'll do is they'll just kind of parallel along with the burning operation and be there in case we do get like adverse conditions that would put spots over the fire line, and then they can hit those with water in a relatively quick manner and help reduce the potential for those to pick up in intensity and spread in an uncontrollable fashion. So they're greatly appreciated by the firefighters on the line, and we get a lot of use out of them doing that. And so as this firing operation continues, might see some of that. The conditions have been very favorable so far, so we haven't had to really get that up and put that to full use as we potentially could, but it's available and ready in the event that we need it. And then, just the last thing from an operational perspective, and I know we get focused in on a lot of, the firefighters that are on the ground out here doing the work, whether it's the repair work over here that is really, really, really needed to prevent the down the road effects of the incident and the suppression damage that was caused by putting in those dozer lines, putting in those hand lines, and building those containment lines. So that's really important work. And then we have the actual firefight that goes on over here. But one thing I just want to pass on from the operational standpoint is there's a lot of behind the scenes work with the different folks and the different groups that we have in ICP, the PIO shop, which hosts this, public information, logistics, finance, and our planning folks. And so the operational folks really appreciate that support, and those folks provide a huge amount of support to those boots on the ground so that we can focus our efforts out there. And so it would be remiss of me to not mention those folks and just talk about the the great work they contribute to the overall success of the missions and the planning that goes into doing what we do, whether it's getting food to firefighters, getting information out to the public like you folks, and then just other functional areas of this group that we call an incident management team. So really appreciate their efforts in support of us as we put the boots on the ground out there, and thank them. And with that will conclude the operational briefing. But as a note, you still have that PIO hotline you can call for information to provide the feedback to us from the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. You have the Facebook page, which you're probably viewing this on. There's a lot of good information that comes out of that. They post a lot of good stuff in there. Last night, the community meeting, the work that the mules and the pack train are doing. And then outside of the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., you're always welcome to call that 911. And if there's an issue going on that you need to have looked at or you're concerned about, we will get that information from the local dispatch center, and we'll respond folks to have that, to look at that and ground truth it. So with that, you guys have a great afternoon, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.